Today we want to talk about a really critical part of creating your research paper. This is the piece that helps you figure out what goes where. You've done research in a bunch of different, on your topic, but for almost everybody, their topic breaks down into a bunch of different things, and it's like, how do you get all of this stuff put together into a unified research paper, okay? So that's what we're going to work on today, is getting all of this stuff put together into a unified research paper. So, let's assume that you have a pack of research cards. You're supposed to have everything written on, 4x6, 5x7 cards, okay? Let's assume that you've done all that, and you have all this information on your 4x6, 5x7 cards, okay? And so now what do you do with all of these? And if you're not done with them yet, it's okay, because you'll find out where you need to do more. And we're going to show you how to do all of this in the next few minutes today. So how do you start? Well, first of all, you take all your research cards and you just lay them out in front of you. Okay? You lay all of them out in front of you so that they're all pretty visible as to what they are. Okay? And so you put them down in front of you so that you can see pretty much everything. Okay. Now let's assume that you are writing a research paper on one of my favorite authors, Nathaniel Hawthorne, and his use of witchcraft in his writings. Okay? Let's assume that's your topic. Again, most of you are writing about different illnesses, different diseases, things like that. But, let's just assume that for the sake of setting this up, that you're writing about Nathaniel Hawthorne and his use of witchcraft in his work. Okay, so this is step number one. Take all your cards, and I have more, but let's assume that's all of them for the sake of not keeping you into this video too long. And I just dropped one, but that's okay. Okay, so you have all your cards out in front of you. I mean, you know what your topic is, okay? So, you have all your cards laid out, and hopefully you have more than this because this is only 24. Yeah. And you'll probably need more than 24 idea cards to write a good 5 to 7 page paper, but again, we're giving you a model. Okay, so let's say that you have them all laid out in front of you now on a big table, and that's why I'm in front of a table. This is actually a very big table, but for the sake of the camera, this is all the space that we have. So, okay, so you read through them all. You read through every one of them. And then you start to group them by the topics that stick out for you. So for me, we're going to be writing about Nathaniel Hawthorne and his use of witchcraft in his novels and in his short stories. Okay? So the first thing I want to do is look for the cards that give me information about Hawthorne and maybe Hawthorne's tie to witchcraft. So I look through and I see, okay, this one does, and this one relates to that topic, and oh yeah, this talks about Hawthorne's childhood, and this one talks about Hawthorne's town that he lived in, Salem, Massachusetts, and this one relates to Hawthorne's family, and this one relates to Hawthorne's family. Okay, so I take all of these and put them together in a pile and separate that pile. Now, which ones have to do with Hawthorne, with Hawthorne short stories? Okay. So we're going to deal with 2 Hawthorne short stories here. Let's say one of them is Young Goodman Brown. So this is about Goodman Brown, and this is about Goodman Brown, and this one's about Goodman Brown. You don't find the information in the order that you're going to need it. It never works that way. That's why you have to lay them all out like this to put them together by groups. And this is Goodman Brown, and this is Goodman Brown. Okay. Oh yeah, and this one is Goodman Brown. I can see that. Okay. Then we want to talk about his short story also, The Minister's Black Veil, because that's into a lot of witchcraft stuff too. So, okay, so these have to do with The Minister's Black Veil. Yeah, I can see Minister. Okay, Parson Hooper in here. Yep, this is about Parson Hooper. This is about that awful veil that he wore. So all of these have to do with the minister's black veil. And I'm putting these in separate piles over to the side. So, okay, so we have some information about Hawthorne's short stories. Now, his novels. Okay, let's see. This is The Scarlet Letter. The Scarlet Letter. Oh, yeah, The Scarlet Letter. Here we go. I see Hester Prynne. That's The Scarlet Letter. Arthur Dimmesdale, Scarlet Letter. Another one, Scarlet Letter, set in Salem, Massachusetts. And this one has to do with the House of the Seven Gables. Okay, so these are all Scarlet Letter. House of the Seven Gables. Okay, I have this one, House of the Seven Gables, which was right next door to the house that Hawthorne grew up in, by the way. And so these guys are House of the Seven Gables. So I've taken all of these and separated them out into different piles. Okay, so now let's go back to the first pile we had, the ones that had to do with Hawthorne and witchcraft. And let's kind of lay these out now and figure out how I'd talk about these. Okay, this tells me Hawthorne was born in Salem, Massachusetts. Automatic tie into witchcraft, right? This one says that Hawthorne's great-great-grandfather was a judge in the witchcraft trials. So that would certainly tie into Hawthorne and Salem and the witchcraft trials. This one tells me that Hawthorne's father died when Hawthorne was very young, like 6 years old, and the mother never really got over it, you know? So the family was forced to live reclusively. They didn't want other people to come and visit them. The mother wouldn't let the kids go out and play with other kids. She kept her family at home and pretty much separated in the house. And this one talks about how even Hawthorne and his sister, even though they were in the same house, never really got close because of the way the mother raised them after the father died. Okay, and this one talks about the fact that Hawthorne became a very introspective person because of the way they lived. He spent his time looking into himself, okay? And this one tells us that because Hawthorne spent his time looking into himself, and because the family had its ties with witchcraft, and they lived in Salem, Massachusetts, again, witchcraft, what Hawthorne found when he looked into himself was that area where sin and guilt reside. So now we've taken one of these piles and put it in order in the way that we think would make sense for the research paper. Okay, so let's say, and I'm not going to go through all the piles that way, I'm just going to give you a sample. Okay, so let's say our paper is going to break down into 3 parts. We talked about Hawthorne's family and his use of witchcraft. So, that'll be Roman numeral 1 in our paper. Hawthorne and witchcraft. And what's the connection here? Capital A, born in Salem, Massachusetts. And B, grandfather, and I won't write that whole word out, great-great-grandfather, was a judge in the Salem witchcraft trials. Okay. And C, Hawthorne's father died when Nathaniel Hawthorne was about 6 years old. And D, mother became a recluse, meaning wouldn't let people into the house. And E, even Hawthorne and his sister were kept fairly separated because the mother just was so shattered by losing her husband that she couldn't handle it. In fact, his sister became a nun, and there's a book written about her called Sorrow Built a Bridge, which, it built the bridge from the life that she had there to giving her life to others for the sake of helping others as a nun, okay? And card F was Hawthorne became a very introspective guy, looking into himself. And then the next one was that he found, as all of us do, I guess, when we look deeply into ourselves, right? Found sin and guilt deep within, and of course, especially for somebody who grew up in Salem, Massachusetts, where witchcraft, which is worshiping the devil, which of course is dedication to evil, that comes into play. So, okay, so we have first part of our paper broken down. Then, let's say we've already put these in order, okay? The next one is going to be Roman numeral 2, Hawthorne short stories and witchcraft. And A is going to be Young Goodman Brown. And in Young Goodman Brown, we're going to make this A1, okay? Not Roman numeral 1, but because the whole thing is Roman numeral 2. Second part of the paper. Okay, so it's Roman numeral 2. And then the first subcategory is capital A, Young Goodman Brown. And then under Young Goodman Brown, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Meets Devil in the Forest. Meets his catechism teacher in the forest, or sees his catechism teacher in the forest. And sees his pastor in the forest. And of course, the forest, a dark forest at night, that's always a symbol of evil. And here he sees these people that are supposed to be such good people, his catechism teacher, his pastor, and he overhears them saying that they're going to a witch's Sabbath. Obviously, wow, evil, 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 and which being a witch, of course, means being a devil worshiper. So that's where these people are going. They're supposed to be good people, and yet they're going to a witch's Sabbath. So enough about Goodman Brown. There's more details that we would put in, but for the sake of writing up an outline, showing you how to write up an outline, critical part of structuring your paper, let's leave it at that. And then let's talk about his other short story, The Minister's Black Veil. Okay, and we have Parson Hooper. A is Young Goodman Brown, so B on here is The Minister's Black Veil. And we have Parson Hooper is speaking about secret sin. Okay, speaking about secret sin. And so, as part of that, he puts on a black veil. And so people think he's evil because he wears a black veil. Evil, witchcraft. It's, again, Salem, Massachusetts, And so they pretty much shun him, stay away from him for pretty much the rest of his life. And even on his deathbed, he refuses to let them take that mask, that black veil off of him because he said that we all wear a black veil. Okay? So anyway, we have part 1, part 2 in our paper, and we've lined up our cards in that order. Okay? And then let's say we've lined up our cards for the part about Hawthorne's novels, so that becomes Roman numeral 3. And so first of all, capital A, we want to talk about Scarlet Letter. And B, we want to talk about House of the Seven Gables, okay? And so again, we set up this part of our outline under the Scarlet Letter. We have Hester Prynne, who wears the Scarlet A, and Arthur Dimmesdale, who is the father of Hester's illegitimate child. Okay. But that's all we have to put down there now. And then we want to go on to the House of the Seven Gables, except we haven't had time to do our research yet. So now we have a sheet that looks like this, okay, where there are big blanks in it. big spaces. That's why doing an outline right now is such an important tool for you, because this shows you need to do more work here. You need to do more work here, because you want to talk more about Scarlet Letter. You want to talk more about the House of the Seven Gables, but you don't have enough information in here to do that. So you need to do more research on that. On the other hand, you look at this part of your outline and it's like, okay, this was the one about Hawthorne and his family. I have a lot of information here already. Let me not spend any more time here. This is done. I have what I need to be able to work on my paper. And, Young Goodman Brown, the second part of my paper, and Minister's Black Veil, I have lots of information about both. I have all this information. So my outline not only has created a skeleton for my paper, showing me what's going to go where, what order I'm going to do everything in. I've arranged my ideas already, but it also shows me where I need to do more work and where I've done enough work. Okay? That's why doing an outline right now is so important for you. Now, when you actually finish your paper, you will hand in an outline as part of your paper. So this is something you have to do anyway. But you can see why I said to you, use note cards. Use 3x5, 4x6. Because if you have pieces of paper, if you have stuff on a computer, you can't lay all that stuff out neatly in front of you. Or if you put more than one idea on a card, you can't put that in two different places as you lay everything out in front of you. So if you did, as I told you, one idea on a card, you organize those cards by section A in your paper, section B in your paper, section C in your paper. How does Hawthorne relate to all of you? Here's what it is. Many of you are doing diseases, okay? So, you might have a section on symptoms of the disease. You might have a section on treatments of the disease. You might have sections on results of the disease, that kind of thing. So you would break it down into Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2, Roman numeral 3. And setting up your outline like this now would let you know where you have enough information on that part and where you need to find more. Okay? So that's a big part of what you're doing for this week's assignment, is setting up an outline and do it the way I told you to do it, because that's what you have to put on Moodle. It's how you're doing it here. Okay? And then secondly, hopefully you understand now why I was so insistent on note cards. If you have stuff on pieces of loose leaf paper, or you have things just blotted, collected on your computer, you can't lay them out in front of you. You can't see everything all at one time and be able to separate and put things together and collate it all so nicely. Okay? I told you from the beginning I'd show you the easiest and most effective way to write a research paper. I've been doing this longer than any of you have been alive, okay? And I know how old you are. I do know how old you are, because some of you have even told me how old you are. I've been doing this longer than any of you have been alive. I've looked at a lot of different methods. Using note cards may seem like it's old-fashioned. Well, maybe it is, but it works, because this helps people write a really good, smooth, effective research paper by doing it on note cards, okay? So, this is how people organize it. Otherwise, man, it's like I collected all this stuff. How do I put it together? This is how you put it together with your outline. And again, the outline will show you where you need to do more, okay? So you guys are doing great. I am so impressed with you. I just love your work ethic. So, it'll be posted as to when this is due, and keep up at it, stay with us, because we're on a really strict timeline now, so that we can get this paper done, so that we have time for you to get it to me and everything, okay? You guys have a good week, and we'll see you soon. Oh, and questions, you know where to get me. I'm always here for you.